Hello and welcome back to Apes and Engines. Today we have on Brandon Bicasso.
Hello.
If you've never heard of Brandon Bicasso, I would advise everyone to go check out his channel. I've been following it since probably 2018, I think, and absolutely love your videos. So they're excellent. Artistically, anyway, they're I really like your style. Anyway, to kick off, do you want to do an intro of your channel in your own words, Brandon?
I am Brandon Bicasso, and I make motorcycle videos that touch the soul. Or try to, anyway.
I was going to bring up that tagline later. See, I already did. Brilliant.
Yeah. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, and you've been around for quite a long time on YouTube. Your first video was on the M109. I think it was just titled on Alabama Roads, and that was September 2014.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dramatically changed a lot.
Yeah, that was just a straight ride video, which actually I do enjoy them. I'll bring up something later, but yeah, that was just no voiceover. It was just straight ride. I think you've really, the evolution of your channel, I think since then is absolutely insane. Because now, I mean, you have B-roll coming out your ears on your videos and everything else, and really well put together. So yeah, so just. You have, at the moment, I checked yesterday, 11.1 thousand subscribers, which is a lot. So congratulations.
Thank you. And it still blows my mind.
It's insane, isn't it? I had another fella on, and if you haven't ever watched his videos, check them out, Teapot1, and he has 40,000 subscribers now. And that's, as I put to him, that's a stadium. That's a stadium full of people that have subscribed on YouTube. So. But you also have 2.9 million views altogether, which is also insane, and 266 uploads. So we know what your channel's about. But I know you saw the video that I went back creeping on yesterday evening.
Yeah.
And you actually had said, what is your channel about, was the video. It only had 50 views and 2 likes, which is madness, because either side of it, I don't know, did YouTube just drop that one? I was like number 3, by the way. And that was the 11th of July 16, where you kind of were saying you don't really know what your channel is about. So how did you go from that video to where you are now, where I think you really have a very well-directed channel and a very good style that is your own?
That is a fantastic question. I've never been asked that before. I'm surprised you went all the way back. I've never had somebody go back that far. Back then, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Because just like you said, in that first few videos on the channel, it's just like riding videos. There's really nothing associated with it. It's just riding. So over time, I tried to do what everybody else was doing, motor vlogs and stuff like that. And eventually I realized I wanted to do something more home movie based. Because I started watching other YouTubers, and for some reason, they always had a vibe to them that made me rewatch them over and over and over, because they always had a nostalgic, a relatable vibe. So I was like, how can I do this with my videos? And that's when I started. And I think I found this style more so when I got the bobber, and I started recording all of my interactions with people, with the bike, and try to make it seem like the person that's watching it is the person in the video. At least that's what I tried to portray, as if you were there. So over time, it's kind of evolved, and trying to pair not necessarily what you see, but also what you hear with the music and all that stuff. It all kind of sets the tone for the video. So it's still a work in progress. I feel like I'm always evolving, but you can see how from the beginning, it's just kind of evolved to where it is now. And I still feel like I haven't even scratched the surface on what I'm still getting stuff out of my brain onto video. And it's just fun just for somebody else to go back and see the evolution of it.
The progression was honestly great, because that's what I try to do. I try, when I ask someone to come on this, I genuinely try to dedicate at least 3 days just to go watch back and look at everything and just see how they, because I think otherwise you're not doing it justice, in my opinion. I want to be able to ask targeted questions, say. But that's something I did notice about yours, is you definitely went from, I think how we all start out is the kind of, the moto vlogger type channels to start out is, you start out doing I'm riding to this place, and here's this road and here's this chat. And I would like to think I have a style of my own now as well. But you definitely do. Even the colors you use and everything in your videos there, I have not seen it repeated or even attempted to be repeated, which is interesting because I don't know, is it that you do such a good job that no one else can copy it, or that people just haven't discovered you enough to try copy it?
I don't know. I'll say this. There aren't a lot of moto vloggers that, other than people like high-end people like Chase on Two Wheels, people like I think Moto Fields is another. They don't really, a lot of people don't do the or go in depth with the videography or the colors or the B-roll aspect of it. At least I don't think so. As far as the collective whole versus like a photography or other big YouTubers that are vlogging, like travel vlogs and stuff like that. Most of us just do like the motor vlog and that's it. A lot of us just do the motor vlog or the B-roll of the bike. I think it'll change because I feel like it takes a lot more to stand out now. Outside of just having the newest bike or the newest gear. It's like you have to stand out in some way to grow. So eventually people are going to have to find their own style. Like you say, you think you found yours, and I'm slowly think I found mine. But as far as copying, I don't think it's hard to copy. I just think if you sit down, like there are a lot of times where when you don't see me post for a week or 2 weeks, it's literally me taking old clips and trying to figure out how can I make them look better. I'll sit there and play with the colors, and I think the last few videos, the colors haven't been the exact same through the videos because I'm still trying to figure out
definitely
what's best and what I like. And the video I dropped this morning, actually, I really put a lot of effort into the color this time. So, it's always a work in progress. Always.
You caught me with that when I was out in the shed rebuilding the forks on the Magna. So I haven't watched that one yet. But and it is something that's very cool, actually. We'll move on to bikes in a second. We'll come back to YouTube. But your playlists and your videos as well, I think there's a very, very positive vibe to them. Even, your playlist where you were touring it in California, that was very, very positive all around. But there was one thing that absolutely cracked me up because anyone who watches the channel, for me, knows I absolutely hate recording where other people can hear me. And you said in one of those videos, don't look at me, it makes it awkward.
It is, man. It's very awkward. When you're around people that are used to watching YouTubers or motor vloggers, it's not as bad. But it is still that weird social anxiety. But once you start and you realize, like, they're not judging me. They're laughing with me, not at me. It's not that bad. But, like, I've had moments where I would be out in public, walking with the camera, filming. And, once you get past those first 5 seconds, that's it. You're like, okay, I've done this for 5 seconds. Yeah. You just go into a state of flow and it just comes out.
Yeah. Absolutely,
but that's like a muscle too, though. If I haven't done it in a while, it's like, oh crap, now I got to film myself again. I was like, hey, I'm here. It does get awkward, but it's becoming more commonplace to see. So a lot of people aren't really looking at it as taboo. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I just honestly, I was laughing away to myself when I heard that line because I was like, yeah, no, 100%.
But yeah, Meatball Rebel was doing that 100% on purpose. Like if you go back to, I think one of the videos, he's literally just staring just like this on purpose as I'm like filming. It was like, Meatball, don't look at me. It was like, don't look at me, dude.
Especially not like that.
Yeah.
But to jump onto bikes really quick, right? Obviously, you've had a pretty new bike in the bobber. We'll talk about that in a second. But also you have the M109, which is obviously, I'm not going to call it ancient technology, but it's definitely older technology. And obviously, I have a 1987 Magna, so I kind of get it. But it's funny as well that you described that as your dream bike. Even I think in one of your community posts recently, you said, it's funny, I already have my dream bike. Which kind of ruins one of my questions I usually ask. But anyway, I'm going to ask it later anyway. But what do you think of the way modern bikes are going? Because I do always find your opinion on newer bikes that are coming out and your 7-minute, 8-minute chats about them very interesting. So you obviously do have opinions and probably strong opinions on it. But are you happy with the way the modern market's going, or would you like to see more retro styled bikes out there, and not just as in fuel injection? Would you like to see some way to bring back carbs, more development on carbs for road bikes?
Believe it or not, I really have never actually owned a carbureted bike. And I know they have those electronic carbs now. Or, well, not now, but electronic carbs versus like the old choke. You got the electronic choke or whatever. I mean, I would be against it. My thing is, as long as they can make it where it passes emissions.
That's it.
I mean,
it's the challenge.
I don't see why. But my thing is, my problem with the newer bikes, and this is just how it is they're becoming harder to work on.
Absolutely.
With all the electronics and stuff, they're getting to the point where you have to take them in to get the software. Everything is so software based. I come from a IT background, so everything is becoming so software based, which isn't necessarily a problem when it comes to, I guess, making things more efficient. But when it comes to you wanting to wrench on it yourself, it takes an increasingly level of expertise just to do it. And that's why with the 109, I'm trying my best, just like you have the Magna, I'm trying my best to really learn everything I can about that bike because I want it to last. I want to learn more about it. And eventually I would want to get something that's older because I want to be able to work on stuff myself. But I like the way that newer bikes are going. I like the technology that's coming into it. I'm not against ABS, traction control, power modes. I feel like that lowers the barrier to entry for new riders to get in and makes it less scary to ride. I think it makes it safer for them. And people like me, or people like you that are more experienced, we can always just dial the power up or down whenever we want to. But at the cost of that, it makes it more expensive.
Yes, considerably more expensive.
Yeah, but I like retro bikes. One of my favorite retro bikes is the Thruxton. The Thruxton R by Triumph.
Beautiful.
I love the Bonneville Bobber. I love the Yamaha XSR 900.
Beautiful bike.
I love the older CB500 builds. I have a wide range of bikes that I love, and I love bikes like the H2. I love the Super Dukes.
They're the nutcase bikes.
Yeah, so I like where it's going, but the problem is, man, is bikes are getting expensive. Well, bikes are expensive. They're expensive, and I feel like a lot of people get caught up in the new stuff and not realizing like the used market is so vast, and my focus lately has been like, what can I get used and try to figure out what can I do with it versus getting some brand new and having to go through all that process.
Well, like for instance, I know what you spent on the bobber, and if anyone's interested, there's a full video on doing a breakdown, which was very good. So go check that out. It was about $12,000, wasn't it?
Yep.
About that.
But that was out the door. Oh, go ahead.
What did you spend on the M109?
The M109, I got that off of Craigslist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent $7,400, I think, in 2014.
And what did the bobber do better than the M109 for nearly double the price?
I got a whole new video coming out about that actually, because I feel like I've done a disservice to the community, at least the viewers, is that I've never done a direct comparison on why I like one over the other. But the thing that I loved about the bobber and what I'll be looking for in my next bike is that it was so nimble. It was just small. It did everything so well. It was just a stripped down bike, even though you could, when you're comparing it to the Fat Bob, it was stripped down, didn't have the best suspension or adjustable suspension, didn't have the best seat or anything. But when you really got on that bike, you felt like you had something of a really good value bike. Like Indian really made a really good bike when they made the Scout Bobber.
They did.
And the thing I really miss about that bike is just how much you got in such a light frame. Like they put a lot of that Scout motor in that frame was just, it's really good. And that's what I really miss about it. Being having that decent amount of power in that small frame versus the 109, it's close to 800 pounds.
Yeah, it's a big bike.
It's a heavy bike, man. It is a heavy bike. But yeah, that's what I really miss about it. But as far as like the cost of it, I don't think I would buy a brand new one again. But I do think as far as what you get for the price, I think the Scout Bobber is still a really good deal, because I was looking at the Triumph Bobber, but I just couldn't look over the fact that, you couldn't do a passenger with it. It didn't have the performance of the Indian, and that was the kind of stuff that I was looking for at the time. But I do think you get a decent amount for what you pay for. But if you can get one for 10, around 10, I think that would be the better deal. But at the time, you're paying the buy it now price. So
yeah, unfortunately, Indians are still very expensive here. Because I've actually test rode a couple, the Scout being one of them, and I absolutely love that bike. That engine is fantastic. So I completely understand.
A lot of character in that engine.
And on that, because obviously you've ridden a lot of, or been around and ridden a lot of Indians, and also the Victory. That orange Victory Magnum, by the way, is one of my favorite bikes I've ever seen on video or in the flesh. That thing is absolutely stunning.
Talking about the orange peel.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous.
I got a fun video coming up for that, actually, that I never released.
Oh, yeah, good, it's going to be fun. I love seeing that bike. It's stunning. But on that, you've never really, even talked a lot about looking at a Harley. And as an American, obviously, I think Harley and Indian have quite a little rivalry going on over there. Over here, not as much. And in Europe, obviously, not as much. But why do you prefer Indian? Or do you prefer Indian over Harley? And is there any particular reason for it? And what do you think of the rivalry?
Okay, so when I first started riding, I got caught up in the whole. It used to be Suzuki and Harley in my area. Basically, I got caught up in, and actually, that video I released about when does Harley get credit? Where I was talking about the Harley reliability and the power compared to back in the day. I got caught up in the Harley sucks phase. Like, I was always told Harley sucks. They leak oil. They're not reliable. All this, and truth be told, I've never owned one.
Yeah.
Now, when I rode the Fat Bob right before I bought the Bobber, I considered buying one. I even actually got the quote for it, and I was actually quoted to trade my N109 in for it, but I couldn't justify the price for a 2-minute test ride. Yeah, they wanted me to buy the bike after 2 minutes of riding it, and I was like, let me think on it, and I didn't like the pressure that they would give me, so eventually I walked away, especially after I test rode the Indian the following weekend.
Yeah.
But as far as why I pick Indian, again, it goes back to that Harley sucks thing where it came down to branding. Mm-hmm. The people that I know ride Harleys, I didn't necessarily want to be associated with the brand. And I felt like that kind of stirred me away from it, or deterred me away from it. And once Indian dropped the Scout Bobber, I gave it a whirl, and then I fell in love with it, especially for the price. But my first time riding an Indian was not in 2017. I actually test rode the Chief back in the day. I want to say around 2015. There's an old video on my channel, old video where I rode the Chieftain before they redesigned it. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that was maybe 2013 or 14. Yeah, but it was well before I really was looking at getting another bike, and that Indian was even on the radar.
Yeah.
But now that I've ridden Indian and fell in love with it, everybody that was in my circle, they rode the new Indians, and then they were all on the I don't want a Harley phase bandwagon. They moved over to Indian. It's just been Indian. Because when they started riding, they all had N109s. I had the Suzuki M50, then I upgraded to the 109. And again, it was the Harley versus Suzuki phase back in the day because Indian wasn't in our area, and it still isn't. You have to drive at least 100 miles to get to Indian from where I'm from.
Yes.
So, now we all have Indian, and now they're like, Harley sucks, and then Harley people like Indian sucks, and it's just like it's just a rivalry. But Indian showed me a lot of love, and all the people that I met from Indian, like Bearded Bobber, Meatball, J Fast, I felt like all of that is because of Indian. And when I had the accident, Indian, they showed their support for me. And then, even though I didn't have an Indian, I flew out to Cali. They gave me a free bike to ride. Like, all of that is the reason why I rock with Indian. But that's not to say I want to own a Harley Davidson at any point.
Yes.
So
just at the moment,
that's definitely not saying that, because I like riding anything. So
yeah. I'm just saying it's funny. I had another Irish motor vlogger on just earlier in the week, and he described himself as a bike slut, I believe it was. He'll ride anything, and I think most of us are the same. Definitely, I am. I'll I'll try anything, and I'm too big for most things, and I'll still try to ride them. But
but
that came out wrong. I'm too large framed to ride fit on most bikes.
I will say that my mindset has changed since I've started test riding more bikes, because where I come from, a lot of people think Ducati sucks. And the thing with that is they say like, oh, Ducati sucks, they're expensive, they're unreliable. And I'm like, have you ever ridden one? And they're like, no. I said, well, how can you say that if you've never ridden one? And I was a part of that. So now since I've done more journalism and ridden more bikes, like I rode my friend Chris's Road Glide while I was out there in Cali. You know, I can no longer sit here and say something sucks if I've never been on something.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say that something sucks after a 2-minute test ride or a 5-minute test ride. And that's why I try to change my perspective and try to own something, or at least get more experience with something, and then give my opinion on it. Yes. Because, you know, a lot of people get caught up as like, it's easy to comment on something. This is trash. This sucks. This is that. Harley's awful. They should go out of business. But, you know, most of those people 9 times out of 10, they've never actually experienced Harley Davidson.
Yeah, or owned one, which I think owning a bike is really the big tell, because, you know, I have a Yamaha, a Honda, and a Suzuki, and I can tell you the Yamaha is a great bike. It's my daily bike. The Honda, while it is 20 years older, it's far easier to work on. Like yesterday, I changed the clutch line on it. I changed bits of the tank, and today I'm doing the forks, and that bike will then be back on the road. The Yamaha, it's a change things on it. It's a lot more. You take a lot more stuff off, and then the Suzuki, which is a fully faired bike, it's even more again. But the Yamaha had to change the spark plugs, and to my mind, look, I'm an engineer, and it bothers me when I see these things. To change the spark plugs, they didn't give you access, so a tool came with the bike when it was brand new, so that you could change the spark plugs easily. Now, I'm the third owner of that bike, second or third, and that tool is long gone. So now to change the spark plugs, to build something to get in at it. Whereas, you know, on the Magna, it's just straight in, and the Suzuki, you lift the tank and they're just there. You know, that's good design. But anyway, just to jump back real quick. So on the Harley aspect, because it's funny, I've spoken to Grom Trooper, another smaller YouTuber, and also Bry the Biker. And Bry owns a Harley. Grom Trooper has owned Harleys. And Grom Trooper has a massive Indian dealership near where he is in New Mexico. But he feels that Indian hasn't really taken off down there, largely due to how they advertise and the culture around the bikes in that area. So do you think then up where you are, it's much different? Because do you feel like it was more of a culture thing that stopped you buying the Harley and drove you towards the Indian, as in culture in the showroom even, and how they treated you, etc.?
I think that's definitely a part of it, 100%. The thing with Harley here is most of the clubs here are Harley. But like I said, I felt like there was so much pressure to buy that bike that day. And again, it was a 2-minute test ride. I was like, I'm not trading 6 years of my life for 2 minutes. I'm just not doing that, or at least paying it. Yeah. I do think a lot of that came from that. But then again, I don't know if I can necessarily compare my Indian test ride to the Harley test ride, because the Harley test ride I went out with a sales representative, and the Indian the Indian Scout Bobber was a demo truck. So when I got off of the bike, there really wasn't like okay, you're going to buy it now. What you're going to do is more like, hey, come test ride our bikes and see what they're like and have a good day, versus like, hey, I want to ride that Fat Bob. You know, can I test ride it, like a bike that they had to pull off of the floor? But this is when the Fat Bob first came out, and Harley was like, hey, go ride it and things like that.
Buy it.
But as far as like the marketing, wait, what was the original question?
Did the culture, do you think it was largely a culture piece that stopped you buying Harley?
Okay. Yeah. I 100%. Yeah, culture definitely plays into my buying decisions. Because like with Suzuki, most people here ride Suzuki. Most people ride Japanese bikes here because they're more affordable. You don't see Ducati here. You don't see KTM other than dirt bikes. You don't see Triumph. You don't see Indian really. You do see a few victories only because they went out of business. But you mostly only see Harley. You see a lot of Yamaha. You see a lot of Suzuki and a lot of Kawasaki. So when you think about that, most of the people in my area the holy grail is to go from Japanese to Harley.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, but now that we got a few Indians here, and the our dealer network is starting to step up in Alabama, you now have another option. But the dealer network is so more spread out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, versus like Harley, I can probably go within 50 miles. You got probably 3 or 4 Harley Davidsons. You know, so no, definitely. But to answer the original question, yeah, it definitely played a lot, I think, and more than I would probably consciously want to admit. Yeah, it definitely plays a lot of into the.
But that's interesting because I think it's funny here. We don't really have many what you would consider a dealers here. You know, we have a couple of smaller kind of freelancer dealers who might have a contract with a particular brand, but it's only really BMW in the county I live in that have a proper dealership, which is actually only tagged onto their car showroom. And then there's two.
I was going to add the Indian dealership is connected with BMW, Ducati. It's not just an Indian dealership,
but it's still a one big bike showroom.
Yes. Yeah,
so we don't have many.
It's multiple brands though.
Yes, yeah. Gotcha. But it's actually the only Indian dealer in the country here is also a Zero dealer, and they also sell. Actually, it's something I would advise you look up. You probably like them. They're called motorcycles, MUTT motorcycles. They're like little custom 125s and 250s. They're really, really cool. I'd love one. But we don't really have many. Like if I wanted to go to a Triumph dealer or the Indian dealer, or is there anything else I'd have to travel at least 100 miles anyway for the Harley dealer as well. The only one that's local to me is BMW and also a Honda dealership. And even the Honda dealership, they have lots of different bikes on the floor, but they are primarily Honda. Right. So it's always funny to me when I speak to guys over in America, and they're like, "Oh, this dealer's far away. It's 50 miles." I'm like, "That's not far."
Yeah. See, my Triumph dealer is the same way. They're actually 130 miles away.
That's far.
But Indian is Indian's about 90 to 100 miles. You know, it's a straight shot right up the expressway to get there. Like, there's literally, you get on the interstate and you just go straight. Yeah, but it's like I'm driving over an hour to get there, and the same thing for Triumph. But it's just, they're so far apart. And Harley Davidson is literally right here. Suzuki is directly across the street. Honda is directly across the street. Kawasaki, they're all right there.
And so they're always going to sell more, of course.
That's fair. Absolutely.
And to jump onto that, so obviously you do bike reviews as well. Why do you do them? Because I do them honestly. I like to give people a kind of a first impression, but obviously, as you said, riding a brand new bike, it's very hard to say negative things about it generally, except maybe on the ergonomics, because a brand new bike is going to feel nice. A brand new bike's going to look nice, etc., etc., etc. The reason I originally actually started to want to do the reviews is I'm 6'7", I'm quite large. And when I was looking for bikes, there was absolutely zero tall person reviews out there. So that is one huge reason I do them. So what drives you to do reviews? Is it just because you like to ride the different bikes, or is there something else behind it?
Yeah, I just love riding new bikes, man. And a part of it is also I wouldn't be recording it if I didn't want to put my opinion out there, and of course make money on the videos towards buying a new bike. But no, I originally it was to test ride new bikes. That's pretty much what it is. Like some of my first test rides, because when I first started riding in the United States, in certain states, you don't necessarily have to have an M endorsement to ride a motorcycle. In Alabama, all you need is a driver's license. Super counterintuitive, backwards as hell. But no, you do not need a motorcycle endorsement to get on the street on a motorcycle. It's backwards. Jeez. But so I started riding without that. Eventually, I got my M endorsement, not only to help with insurance, but to also be able to test ride new bikes. You need that before they'll let you ride. And my first bike, I think I test rode was, I can't remember if it was Indian or if it was, no, I think it was Ducati. I think Ducati was my first test ride experience. And, I rode the Panigale. I rode the, I think this is before the Scrambler, actually. I rode the Panigale, I rode the Monster, and I rode the Diavo. Right when they redesigned it, and I popped a wheelie on it by accident. I did a 12 o'clock wheelie because I took off too fast from a stoplight, Yeah. So yeah, I just, and at that time I wasn't even recording videos, so I just did it for the fun. And then eventually as the YouTube thing started getting more traction, I started doing that more, I started recording. But once I recorded my Fat Bob video, when I recorded my Fat Bob video and I got like 1,000 views within like 24 hours, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot compared to the grand scheme of things, that's when I realized like, holy cow, I can actually do bike reviews and to get a lot more views, because that's when I was doing the regular motor vlog and just talking and stuff. So, but now, it's definitely evolved to me not only want to ride new bikes and get my opinion for people that maybe don't have access to test ride new bikes.
Of course.
For me, instance, even though I have Harley down the street, I don't feel comfortable necessarily just walking in there and asking them, hey, can I test ride a bike? Especially after I didn't buy the bike that they wanted me to buy. Because ever since I've been back in there, it has not been the same. They don't I don't think they like me now, but seriously, like really.
But that's actually ridiculous as well.
And plus, after I bought the Indian, I talked bad about the Fat Bob. Not in the this is a bad bike, but I thought the Indian was the better deal. And then the Harley rep that took me out on the ride, because he's local, he saw it and he commented on it and everything. I was like, yeah, they don't like me now. So, but I was just being honest.
But you see, the thing that really, if I was working for Harley and I had seen something like that, I wouldn't have gotten angry and went like, I don't like him. I would have said, right, get that guy back in here, give him a proper test ride, and let's change his opinion. Let's not just go like, no, I'm not talking to you anymore. That doesn't make sense. That's not how you win over customers.
And not to veer off too much, but when I did that test ride, I was like, hey, can I ride? Because I think this is when the 114 first came out, the Milwaukee 8. And I was like, can I ride the Fat Bob and can I ride the Breakout? I was serious about buying a new bike then, because I think 3 weeks later I ended up buying the Indian.
Yeah.
And when we test rode it, I think we made one right, did a couple pulls, made one right, and we stopped and we switched bikes. So I didn't even do a full ride, like a 10-minute ride. And then I was like, oh, that's it. And I didn't really get a chance to really feel the bike. I was like, I'm supposed to feel this. Like, I know the bike's going to be nice, but I want to know if this is ergonomically right for me. Spending $18,000. I was like, I don't have a lot of money, so I don't want to make the wrong choice. And luckily I didn't. And then that's when I bought the Indian. But anyway, the Harley dealer obviously on paper from a view looks like it has a lot more money than small mom and pop Suzuki and Honda. So, I could walk in and somebody else could walk into Harley and say, let me test ride this bike, versus like my local Suzuki saying, they don't really have the insurance to really carry if somebody wrecks or something like that. So they don't really do test rides unless you're really committed doing credit checks and stuff like that to ride.
Yes.
So, people are like, Brandon, we want to see you do more ride videos. I'm like, I can't get on new bikes. So like when the Indian Challenger came out, I actually went to my local Indian dealer, and unfortunately it was the day where it was raining and I couldn't test ride the Challenger. It was the first Challenger actually that I want to say that was on the floor in any dealership in the country. And I couldn't ride it, but that's when I got the video of it.
Yes.
And then that following weekend, the truck guy was like, hey, I'm going to be in Tennessee next weekend. You should come down. I was like, going to Tennessee. So that's when I drove 5 hours just to test ride that bike. 5 hours. And I want to say my first bike I test rode was the X Diablo. You know about the X Diablo, right? So when that bike first hit stateside, I was one of the first few to test ride that bike after the journalists like Motorcycle USA, motorcycle.com, after they got their hands on it, those same bikes went on the demo tour. So I had to drive 3 hours just to go test ride that. So I've done it, but it's like, man, it takes time to do these things versus walking down like Blockhead Moto or John Maxwell or Chase on Two Wheels. They can just walk down and shit like, hey,
I want that.
Let me test ride that. Yeah, I mean, they got the relationship and stuff like that too, but
of course,
that's where we're at. I wish I could, if they would let me ride Harley Davidson, I'll ride them all day. I promise you I would. It's just like, I don't like wasting somebody's time, like walking in and say, hey, I want to test ride this bike. Hey, can I record this because I'm a YouTuber with no intentions on buying the bike? You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just be upfront. Hey, I don't plan on necessarily buying this bike, but I would like to do a review for you guys, or at least ride it and put the impressions out there so other people can see it. But
no, absolutely, and that's
they don't like that.
They don't know. Yeah, but see, that's why I find it very hard to get test rides here as well, is because I am upfront about it. I'm like, here, look, I'm not going to buy your bike, but I want to test ride and make a video. And it's something I've asked. My words have escaped me. It's something I've asked dealerships before about, like, is it possible to do even like a 3-hour rental period, because then they're covered, you know what I mean? And I'm paying you for the chance to take the bike out.
Think about that.
So far, no one has agreed to that, and we don't really have even bike rentals here, because I would rent them just to do a proper review on them. I'm very lucky in the fact that our Indian dealership here is really, really, really open for test rides. Like, they let me take out the bikes for 2-3 hours. Just go around the local area, stop and take photos, and anyway. They're great. What I would like to talk about as well is, obviously, with the newer bike, mods are quite expensive. So do you think that and it's something that I've heard a lot about Indian from people who actually do own them, is they feel like the aftermarket support is lacking for Indian in comparison to Harley. So maybe that's something else that kind of happened there. Did you ever feel the need to modify your Scout, though? Because I think they had plenty of power from factory.
I would have liked to modify the Scout a little bit more. But honestly, the Scout was fast enough as it was.
Yeah.
For me.
They're quick.
I had that thing pinwheel pass, go to jail in Mexico.
In Mexico, of course.
The reason why I really didn't do the mods is because, one, I thought the Scout looked great as it was.
Mm-hmm.
I did do the exhaust because I thought it sounded like a vacuum. But plus, mods cost money.
Yeah, all stock exhausts now sound terrible.
Yeah, plus mods cost money, and I really didn't have a lot of money. I had the money to do it, but I was like, and what am I really getting out of this? I like the way the bike looks. I really didn't see the point in keep dumping money into it. Now, what I would have liked is to have a bigger rear tire on it.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't. That's the one thing I really did not like about the Scout. I didn't like how you had that fender, and that tire really didn't fill out the fender. Mm-hmm. So the plan was in the cars to eventually put like at least a 180 on the back. But other than that, man, I really liked the way that it was.
But I think they're doing a great job. I really
like the way that it was. Yeah.
2 more questions, and then we'll move on. What do you want to see from the future of motorcycles? Because obviously electric is coming down the line, and it's coming down the line fairly fast at the moment, with the likes of Zero and Energica and Harley Davidson, and I'm sure BMW and them will get in on the action soon, as they have the infrastructure there with their car market. But what would you like to see in the future?
That's a good question, man. I have a video in the pipe about something called, like, have we reached peak motorcycle? Meaning, like, have we reached the pinnacle of how far we can go with motorcycles?
Yeah.
And that's not to say, like, we've reached a peak where, like, engines can't get better or electronics can't get better, but what, like, your question, like, what more can they do? Mm-hmm. Like, is it, making them safer, making them more connected, making the engines more efficient, changing the drivetrains? Maybe they eventually get rid of the clutch and just do automatic, or, like you said, do electric. But what I would like to see, I would like to see more. I don't really know, man.
I don't know is a valid answer.
I don't really know, because what they're doing now is quite a bit. Like, for instance, Triumph. Triumph is probably, the Rocket 3 is probably the most trifecta of a motorcycle that you can get. It's got the connected features. It's got the power. It's got the lean angle. It's got the look, or I guess that's subjective.
Yeah.
It's got the efficiency of an engine. It's got the weight savings.
That bike is magnificent.
Yeah, but maybe see them get cheaper. I don't know.
That would be nice. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be nice.
But I will say this. I can't really say what I would like to see, but I will say what I do like that I'm seeing. I'm liking that manufacturers are making bikes where they're not a one size fit all, where you got, like, or at least they're making it where they're advertising them. They're not advertising them as such. Like, for instance, when you want to travel, most people say, I want a bagger, right? Well, now with, saddlebags and attachments and windshields, you can basically your bikes, they're advertising them as more modular platforms, basically like the Scrambler. You can do so many different things with it, the Indian Scout Bobber. Basically, I'm guessing you could say they're taking it from the Sportster. I don't know, because they're so modular. But I do like the fact that more companies are deciding to make their bikes more modular and be able to do more things and just say, hey, this is a muscle bike. Hey, this is a naked bike. This is all it can do is pop wheelies and do Canyon carbon versus, hey, other companies are making aftermarket parts. You can strap all this stuff down to it, and now you can tour across the country on it. It's not built for just ADV. The baggers aren't just for touring across the country, and the muscle bikes aren't just for doing stoplight pulls. You can do pretty much anything with these bikes.
Absolutely.
And necessarily the company designing them as such, but aftermarkets is also coming in and giving their support and getting creative with how to maximize the space of the bikes.
That's something that I saw with the BMW R18. Now, look, I did a video on the R18. I'm not actually a massive fan of how it ended up from its prototype. But what I did really like about it is, that came from factory with options from the likes of Vance and Hines, et cetera, which isn't something that would often happen with the likes of BMW. They might have the option with, a Krapovic, and that'd be it. But there was so many options for that bike, which I really did like, because that's something that if I went in and bought a new bike, I would want to customize it to that level. For me, I'd be wanting to change all the things. So yeah, definitely that's the modularity is something that I think is really cool. And then lastly, on the bikes thing, you are a fan of Indian, right? That much is evident. Do you miss the Victory styling? As a design house, do you miss how Victories were presented with they're much more angular than the Indian? Indian is obviously more, in my opinion, more classic look other than the FTR. But do you miss that style ethos, I suppose?
Yeah, I actually talked to the guy that did the demo truck, and it's actually going to be a part of another video where I'm talking about what Indian got right with the FTR versus the Challenger. We talked shop quite a bit, and basically he said that all of Victory got ingested into Indian. So all those people are still there, but like I said, the design ethos is obviously different. It's more classic, it's more heritage. I look at the Indian lines as more soft.
Definitely.
Maybe. They're more soft and muted versus, like you said, Victory is like sharp edges. And the big thing about Victory were their colors.
I loved their colors.
Super bright colors. And I feel like Indians getting better with that, but the colors were just phenomenal on the Victories. I do wish they would bring more of that what's the way I can describe it? Daring design, or none scared, or just getting more not being scared to think outside the box as far as the design, because like we all know the 2019 Chieftain, the redesign looks a lot like the Street Glide.
Yes, yeah.
The Challenger looks a lot like the Road Glide. But they do have, I can say that even though that's the case, them sitting side by side, there's clear distinction in what makes them both different. But I do think Victory was a bit more, creative in how they presented their stuff. So no, I definitely missed the design ethos of Victory, 100%.
Yeah, man, it's actually
they're a lot more bold. I'll say that bold.
Bold, yeah, that's fair, because it's actually funny the color I eventually want to paint the Magna, because it needs to be painted at some stage. It wasn't looked after for most of its life until I got it, but that orange and black Magnum, that is literally when I saw that, I was like, that color scheme.
That Habanero is nasty, man. I love it.
Absolutely stunning. But to jump on more about the channel itself. So how I came across your channel was purely through the bike community. Is someone who, and before I started my own channel, they said, oh, have a look at Brandon Bicasso. I think you'd like his style of videos, which instantly I was like, oh yeah, that's something I like. And the only person I would put you similar to who I have seen is I don't know, have you ever heard of Chaos Causes?
Yes, he just moved to England.
Yeah, so yeah, she sent that yesterday.
Yeah,
I would put
I love
you very
Chaos,
similar
man.
to,
He's amazing. I could talk about him all day. Love Chaos Causes. Man.
His
He's
videos
amazing.
are fantastic, and it's something that I try to do more now on like voiceover style videos, as he said, and I never even considered it. He said the voiceover videos are easy. Write your script, say your script, and then put the video together afterwards over the words. And I was like, of course, that makes so much more sense.
Yes.
So I had never.
He is like if you try to film, and not to go too far off track, if you try to film, because I'd struggle with the same thing. If you try to film something and then try to write the script on top of it, as long as it's not like, if it's B-roll, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
When you try to like do certain stuff, like showing stuff with the camera, like you're actually like talking while you're doing it. Like my latest video, you'll see why, because that was a big part of how I blended it. But no, it's a lot easier to write your script and then go out and film it versus doing it the other way. Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. But I would put you right up there with him, by the way. I would, honestly.
I feel like we have our own styles.
Oh, you definitely do. Yeah.
I didn't put this on Instagram, and I was going to do it, but I don't know if you saw my Instagram yesterday, but I literally posted, once I watched this video that he moved to England, I tagged Motobob in there.
Yeah, I saw that.
I said Motobob and Chaos should do collabs, and I was going to post behind that and say, like, behind the scenes is the reason why I try to get my colors right. That's why I try to get my angles right, because I'm striving to be just like them.
Well, you're getting there, obviously. Because honestly, I would relate you, man, very close to them.
I look up to them, man. They're phenomenal creators.
They are, absolutely. And it's funny because I feel the same about you, but I don't understand how Chaos Causes doesn't have more subscribers.
I don't know, man. Well, see, he does a lot of, I think, well, he I don't know. He has a lot of views, I'll say that.
He does have a lot of views, yeah. But people just don't hit the subscribe button for him.
See, that's the thing. I don't know if it's because, I don't know.
There's something that I have thought about is
he does a lot of value-based stuff.
Yes, yeah. But maybe some people are just so engrossed in his videos that they forget to hit the subscribe button. So
I think that's a part of it. Yeah.
But to jump back to your channel, couple of things, right? So why did you start it? And why do you ride a bike if you have any particular reason, or was it just happenstance? And what are your plans in the future for your channel? Do you see your growth as accelerating, because it looks to be, or are you just happy to keep growing incrementally over time?
So the reason I originally started the channel was simply to record the rides that I went on and post them to YouTube for my friends and I to go back and look at them. That's why the first few videos you see the cameras just pointed in one direction. We will all sit around and go, oh, look at that. Yeah, I took that curve just fine. Look at that wheelie. Yeah. That's pretty much how it started out. And then once I figured out that you can make money with it, I started to take it more serious. Of course, that's after I saw other motovloggers doing it. I said, hey, this is kind of cool. And then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole. But as far as why I started riding, my uncle that has the white Chieftain, he got me into riding. I originally wanted like a sports bike when I was like 12 or 13. And my mom said, like, no, you can't have one. But then she made this deal and she was like, if you continue to do good in school, eventually you can get one. So once I got in college in 2012, I saved up from working at the baseball stadium. I saved up and bought my first bike, Suzuki M50. And then I rode that and eventually upgraded to the 109. But as far as why I ride, it's just fun. I just loved it. I just love riding, man. It's not like riding gives me therapy, but it's more so I just love the idea of being on two wheels.
Yeah,
absolutely. It does give me therapy, but I would say, I don't ride to escape anything, rather. But
you just enjoy it.
I just really just enjoy. It helps me, obviously, but I just love just seeing bikes. Bikes is just so damn cool to me.
Oh yeah, I love it. That's honestly
just the idea like you can have so much between your legs going down the highway. Like that just baffles me.
How else are you going to get the power that they put out for the price that you get them for? You won't
absolutely.
Do it. But before we go on to your plans for the future, I just wanted to touch on, the fact you just really enjoy it. And I think one video that I really enjoyed that you put out fairly recently, because we were locked down at the time, like we were hard locked down at the time, is that video where you just went out and you just rode the M109 on twisty roads. You had your B-roll going through the corners, and it was just M109 noises. And man, I've watched that video like 10 times because it's just the throttle off sound and everything was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. That video was a lot of fun to make. It was a lot of fun, but it took I'm not gonna say it took a lot of time. It took a lot of sweat. I'll say that. It didn't take a lot of time, but I say sweat because you have to stop, you have to
put the camera,
put it down, record it, run away, get on the bike, ride through, come back, and all that. But no, the thing with those kind of videos, and this is gonna get lead into your later question, is those videos don't really get a lot of views.
No,
but
they don't.
Incredibly fun. They're incredibly cinematic. They just don't get a lot of views. But I actually have one I never posted. It doesn't have the ride shots where I'm riding by, stuff like that, but it's just straight like me riding 109, beautiful colors. Yeah, I just haven't posted it yet.
Post it, man.
It's done. So yeah, it's been done for like a few weeks now. But no, yeah, those are really fun to make. They just don't get viewed a lot, man.
But sure, it's funny. Like the videos that I make and that I genuinely, when I'm sitting and editing them, I'm like, this isn't going to do well. I am not happy in this video, because there's a few of them out there that it's funny. Only my girlfriend really spots them. That when I'm like, she hasn't said it to me in a while, but she's like, yeah, you weren't in a good mood there. And actually, one of my good friends would say it as well. But like, those are the videos that I'm sitting and I'm like, oh man, I sound miserable in this. No one's going to like this. And then they do well straight off the bat. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Do people like me being depressed? I'm so confused. But what are your plans for the future of the channel? And are you currently happy with the growth you've seen on it? Or would you like to see a lot more?
I honestly am not happy with the growth. And I know that sounds first world problems. I know a lot of people would love to have 11,000 subscribers. I'm not ungrateful, but I do feel like, just like you said, the amount of time you put in the video, we do expect a certain ROI, like return on investment. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into these videos, and, you do want to see them do well. You want them to get out.
It's natural.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not necessarily about, the recognition, but, you want to see the fruits of your labor.
It's payoff. Yeah, but, exactly.
But I'm okay with the subscriber numbers. I'll say this. I'm perfectly fine with my subscriber numbers, but I did wish my videos got more views based on the amount of work, because I don't want to get to the point where it grows so fast, like 50,000 subs, right? And I'm only getting 5,000 views, because at that point I know the audience isn't watching. You know what I'm saying? I would love to have a loyal 10,000 people that watch my videos and I get 10,000 views versus 50 and nobody's watching.
Yes.
At that point, something's broken. Something's broken at that point.
Yeah.
So as far as the subscriber numbers, I'm perfectly fine with that, but I do wish I got more views, because that would help me facilitate the bigger picture that I'm working towards, and that's better cinematics, that's better lighting, that's being able to ride more outside of work, because I work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Yep.
The only time I get a chance to ride is either to and from work or on the weekends. Like right now, outside of speaking with you, I would probably be editing. Yeah. I just got the visor because my helmet got smashed in, so I wouldn't be riding.
We'll get to that in a second.
But it's a rewarding feeling to know that people like your stuff, but I am personally working towards not necessarily being a better rider, but being a better creator.
Yeah.
Because I want to do more cinematics. I want to get more of everyday life that comes with owning a motorcycle. And you could say, well, that's a motovlog. Well, not necessarily. I want to be able to capture what it looks like when your motorcycle is sitting in the garage when you walk out there, but capture it in such a cinematic way that it makes it look more beautiful than what it does when I see it. Yeah. Or how it looks like sitting out there in the rain, or everyday life with a motorcycle. That's what I'm trying to capture.
Yeah.
And of course the other stuff like the reviews and the opinions, that helps me facilitate that. That helps me get the camera equipment. That helps me get the special tripods that I can easily deploy when I'm out riding, so I can get shots faster. And that helps me replace my drones when I crash them while I do those shots. And on the video that you like about the 109, I actually crashed my drone trying to film that. And luckily, I went in the woods and found it. God, I'm so glad I went and found it. I really thought I lost it that day. That was a bad day.
I can imagine. I've been looking at drones. I'd love to get one. I currently can't afford one because I also want to get a better fixed camera for, like, you know, when I'm working in the garage or whatever else.
Yeah.
But at the moment, my camera, it can record for the maximum of 10 minutes and its focus is absolutely awful. It just hunts all the time. So I have to focus it manually and then record it.
Manual focus, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm getting more, and that's another thing. I'm getting more into that. Like, I normally shoot on auto. But like where people like Chaos Causes and Motobob shine is like a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes on how they're setting up their shots. And, you know, Chaos has that big tripod on his backpack. Like, people don't see how much work goes into that. Yeah. Setting up your shot. It takes a lot of time. Like, and most of the time he's filming more than he's riding probably.
Definitely. And even carrying the gear around is heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's heavy, man. That's what people are always asking me, why do you want a bigger bike? Because I'd love to get a bike with bags. And I'm like, because it'd make my life easier.
And I got something about that coming soon. Once I get all my gear and I get all of it settled in, is showing not necessarily how to be a motor blogger, but to be a motorcycle creator, like a content creator. Because like all that gear, you're right, you have to transport it. And people don't talk about that. Like, what's in my motorcycle camera bag, not what's in my motorcycle maintenance bag, but how am I filming this stuff? Yeah. You know? Yeah, 100%.
We have crazy thunder going off here. I don't know, can you hear it?
No, I can't actually, no.
That's madness. It was sunny like 10 minutes ago, but anyway. So there's something else as well, obviously. In your channel, you've had some... What I would consider something that, and I know this is a strange way to look at it, but it is something generally that is an attention grabber. Obviously, you've had your accident, and more recently the visor break. We'll get to that one in a sec. But first, with the accident, how did that change your opinion on riding bikes at all? Because obviously you were in a tank top, and man, I watched that video back where you showed the road rash last night, and I was the same as the first time I saw it. I was just like, oh God, that looks horrible. But has that changed how you ride your bike or anything? Or,
well, I'm just gonna be honest. I still do have those moments where I would like to ride without my jacket, but no. Since then, I think I have ridden without my jacket twice. I think since 2018, and that was, I went to Waffle House or like a eating spot. I don't know if y'all have Waffle House where you are. So Waffle House is like a late night. It's like a diner that never closes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I wrote that, and then I think I filmed, like, I was testing some audio equipment, and I wrote without it. But no, it made me more cautious to ride with my gear, simply because I don't ever want to go through that again. I don't wish that on my worst enemy.
I can imagine.
I was literally talking with I don't know if you heard of him, Gen Z Biker. Yeah, we were talking last night, and because we were talking about motorcycle jackets, and I was like, man, please wear your gear, because you see people on Instagram taking photos without their jacket. You have people online, YouTubers ride without the jacket. And if you do it, by all means, I'm not shaming anybody for not wearing it. But when I had road rash here, all the way up my blades,
on your shoulder,
my shoulder, and that spot still hasn't fully cleared.
Oh man,
it doesn't hurt anymore, but it's where it's going to be forever now. Which it doesn't bother me now, but
yeah.
I had same here. I had it up my back. I had 3 broken fingers.
Yeah, I
couldn't take a shower for. I want to say I didn't shower for like at least 2 weeks. I asked my fiance last night. She was like, "Yeah, I don't think you showered for at least 2 weeks." And I couldn't get dressed by myself for over a month. I don't ever want to go through that again. So for me, if it means being hot, I'm just going to have to be hot. But, I know another time I didn't go out.
Did you hear that one?
California. I hear it now.
Yeah, it's like right overhead. That's crazy. Yeah. But no,
like God. I did take the risk. I did take the risk when I went to California. When we rode to the Mojave, I didn't wear my jacket. I didn't wear it then. It was hot as hell.
Yeah.
So I took the risk then. So I will say I'm a hypocrite. I'll say that, because I try not to ride in uncharted territory. But without at least without my jacket, or at least in fast-paced environments. But yeah, I mean, I'm a hypocrite. But majority of the time, I ride with my jacket. I don't want to ever go through that again.
Through that again, yeah.
That day sucked.
And even at that, man, Christ, when you like showed the part of the road that you came off and stuff, oh man, you were so lucky. Like,
yeah, I mean, they've repaved the road since. Yeah, they've repaved the road since then, man. It's brand new now. But the thing is, it's like the accident wasn't that bad. The accident was amazing compared to the pain afterwards. Like, adrenaline was kicking in. Like, my fingers broken didn't hurt. Like, it didn't kick in until like the next day, and I was sitting there like, okay, time to change the bandages, and all that stuff had to come up. I was like, oh my God, what is this? Jesus. And I had to deal with that for like at least a month before I could actually physically shower. And even then, the water hitting my skin it sucks,
wasn't a good time.
It sucks. No. So I tell people, like, riding without your gear every day, no. But minimizing the risk, 100%. And that means for me, riding with my gear as much as I can. But in Mojave Desert, it was 120 degrees. I was like, nah, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
This ain't happening. I'm just going to have to ride slow and just be super attentive of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, I don't.
Avoid every pothole I can. So
I just don't think I'd like. I'm an Irishman. I don't think I'd survive in 120 degrees anyway.
Man, it was hot, man. But now, but even looking back on that now, I probably would go back and wear my jacket. Because now I'm learning, like, when my body is overheating, it's because I'm not hydrated. When I'm hydrated, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, the heat is a lot more bearable when your body is able to sweat out the impurities, and you know,
so
you're more hydrated.
You need more water.
Yeah. So I'm learning that. I'm learning more about that and how to stay cool with my gear, and of course having the appropriate gear. So
yes,
either way, again, I'm a hypocrite, but I'm still learning as I go along. But since I've been back from Cali, I've been wearing my gear 100%.
And did you have any lasting injuries from that other than your wallet for the bobber?
No, lasting injuries. Nah, man. Other than that shoulder thing, my fingers have fully recovered. I am amazingly lucky.
Good stuff.
I didn't break anything but fingers, man. And my fingers I'm left-handed. They're perfectly bendable, everything, man. It got to the point where my fingers wouldn't bend past this.
Yeah.
I couldn't bend them like that. But now, like, you know.
You're good. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I'm incredibly lucky, man.
I hope I never have a similar accident, because I'm like 270 pounds and I don't think big boys bounce as well. So I'd probably just like hit and slide or something. But I don't plan on trying it anytime soon. And then obviously you're more recent. And that's what I was getting at, is I don't understand how that didn't grab more people attention-wise, because I mean, I think you did a good job on your titles, you did a good job on your thumbnails. I just, for me, I am surprised it didn't draw in more people. And even I know I actually didn't go back and check, but has your most recent story drawn in anyone? Because man, that is insane.
I think it would. I mean, it's got 4,000 views.
Okay.
I think that's a video. The YouTube algorithm is a bit weird on how it does stuff.
Yeah.
I've had videos that went months without views, and then somehow they just blew up and got 80,000, 100,000 views. So I do think that's going to be a slow grinder where it's going to eventually go up. But I think it would have been a lot better if I actually had video.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I didn't actually have video. I think that would have been a lot more. It would have picked up more, but.
Even at that, man, I still can't believe, like, the damage to your voice. That was someone's hand. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah. For people who don't know this, go check out.
I can bring it. Hold on, one second.
Go check out while he's getting that, right? Go check out his channel. A recent video. He was riding home from work, and a dude punched him in the face.
No, this is early in the morning. He was brightening up. Yeah, so that's the helmet.
Man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So. No, man. Yeah, that was. I don't. Well, go ahead. But yeah, crazy incident. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I don't know, man. When I saw that, even on Instagram, that was something I immediately wanted to know more about. I messaged you straight away. I was like, "What? That is crazy."
Yeah, I hate I didn't have video of it, man, and I hate that. I don't want people to start thinking that I'm not deliberately not showing video. I literally didn't have my
Didn't have it on, yeah.
I didn't have them. No, I didn't even, it's not even, I didn't have them because I was running late for work. I was actually going to work.
To work, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so I was headed to work, and there's not really if I get in trouble for being late, but it was like 7:58. I think I called the cops at 8:02. So I'm supposed to be at work at 8 a.m. So I'm trying to get to work. I'm not rushing, doing my thing. Didn't have the cameras because I was like, okay, I don't have time to set up this GoPro. I don't have time to set up my audio and nothing like that. Because what I'll normally do is sometimes I'll just put the camera on and just film me just riding and then edit the sound out and use it as B-roll later. But I didn't do that. I didn't even bring my big camera. I didn't bring anything. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be a ride for me. Yeah. Just gonna be me riding. And the day just kicked me in the ass, man. It's just one of those days I should have had it. It's one of those days, man.
It's just mad. Like I can't fathom how someone would look at a dude moving along at speed on a bike and go, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Like, how insane.
And you know what? The crazy part, I have the guy's address, right?
Yeah.
I went and looked it up on Google Maps. He has a punching bag on his porch. He boxes.
Oh.
I found out he boxes.
Cool.
I went in, and the way I put two and two together, because I went and found his Facebook. I have his name, I have his address, because I had to sign the proper legal enforcement to get him detained. Yeah. I looked up his address. He had the boxing. He had the punching bag on the porch, and I went and found his Facebook based on his name, and he had an old video from 2016 of him boxing. And I was like, holy God, this guy's a damn boxer. And it explains how, I was like, maybe that explains why his fist came through the visor.
Oh, man.
I can't make this up, man. It's 100%, man.
Oh, man, it's crazy. That is crazy. But just before we move on from that as well, I want to say that when you presented that story, your story time thing, number one, I love how you do them. And number two, you were insanely calm talking about that. And I know you were drinking a few beers at the time, but even still, you were so calm.
Yeah, I mean, there was, at that point, I really didn't. When I got punched, I was more so in shock. I was like, what the hell just happened? And I was angry, but I knew the first thing was let me stop and figure out what the damage is, right? And then figure out the best course of action. And, I knew I just got punched. I was like, this just punched me. Like, what? So at that point, after, going through the proper legal process and everything, and, my job was okay with me not going working that day. I actually went to work and said, I just told my boss, dude, I'm going home, man. I'm sorry, I'm going home. He's like, dude, don't worry about it. So I went home, and I was just like,
what? Crack
over. And at that point, it was no point in me being mad about it. I was still alive. The bike wasn't damaged. I wasn't damaged outside of my eye. The plastic actually cut here. I'm glad it didn't cut my eye.
Yeah, it's in your eye, yeah.
I would have lost an eye. So I was like, there's so much to be grateful about versus me being angry about it. And that's how I took it.
You didn't drop the bike. You didn't lose an eye. It turned out okay-ish. And did Bell ever come back to you about the visor?
Say that again?
Did Bell ever come back to you about the visor?
No, but I do have a friend that works for Indian that got me the demo bike out there in Cali. He actually has a contact that he was trying to get me some visors with. But as far as them directly reaching out now. But he does have a representative that he's trying to get some visors for me. Then of course Bombshell Biker.
Yeah.
Visors, so.
Shout out to Bombshell Biker and the Bearded Bobber.
Yes. Fantastic people. Love them.
They are indeed. And they have lovely bikes.
Yes.
But for me as well, I'm surprised Bell haven't reached out because, in my opinion, that really shouldn't happen to a visor. If a human fist hits it, just shouldn't.
But even when I wrecked my motorcycle, even though I didn't technically fall face down
onto a fist,
have direct impact to the face, it didn't even do that.
No. I remember the damage.
I still have that helmet back there. I still have it for a souvenir. The visor, even though it's scuffed up, it didn't crack. I don't know if it's because the surface area is like it's not really that much difference. Maybe about that much difference around, but yeah, it shouldn't do that.
No,
I don't know if it's just he just has a fantastic
steel
punch.
Fist. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like the fact that the cuffs that hold the visor pinched, and I don't really know the physics of it. But
the way I look at it,
enough to crack. I say that.
And the way I look at it, and the thing that I thought of as soon as I saw how it had broken is, man, the reason visors are there is to protect your face and particularly your eyes. If that was a bird, man, I don't want that happening to my visor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it just shouldn't. Yeah, happen.
Absolutely. I don't think a bird would come. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's that structurally inept, but I think a combination of him swinging, a certain boxer, probably hundreds of miles an hour, versus and me physically moving towards him. I don't know. It probably was just a perfect scenario, probably, but I don't. Now the helmet itself, I don't think is compromised, but obviously the visor is gone. But I think I could still use my helmet and be confident that if I did have an accident, it would.
Oh yeah, no, I'd say the helmet's absolutely
it would hold up, but it would suck if I'm sliding down the highway and then the helmet just like just cracks.
Yeah. It's a pity you didn't see him early enough to like duck and catch him on the top of your head. You would have smashed his hand.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like all of this is happening within seconds.
Yeah,
and I see the guy, he's coming out, not to do the whole thing over, but I see him, and at the last second, he doesn't fully step in front of the bike. He's to the left of the bike, and he just reaches out and punches. I'm like, I'm thinking I'm scot-free. I'm just passing a random guy in the street. I've always passed people. Going through a crosswalk, you pass people, but yeah, it was a freak situation, man.
Yeah,
it's a freak situation.
To move on to something more cheery, I want to talk about your trips. Obviously, you've done your California trip, stuff like that. But say if someone came to you tomorrow and said, "I'm sorry, Brandon, you're being kicked out of the United States for 3 months," where would you go? And you were given a bike.
I would go to probably Switzerland and ride the Alps.
Slowly.
Slowly. Alps, yeah.
Don't ever speed in Switzerland. They'll take every chunk of change you have.
Oh God! Oh no! Okay, maybe the Autobahn then. Yeah, definitely somewhere out there in Europe, somewhere probably. Yeah.
Say Ireland.
Maybe Ireland. Yes. Yeah. Let's ride to Ireland, ride the Isle of Man, the Isle of Man route and all that. Yeah.
Oh man, I want to go across to the Isle of Man and ride around that. Definitely. That's Mecca.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd definitely be a bucket list item there.
And if you were to ride, say, somewhere in Europe, what bike would you pick? If I put you on the spot and said you have to pick one.
Rocket 3.
Rocket 3? Good choice. You see, you didn't even need to think about that.
I could put a rack on the back, strap my stuff down to it. If I don't have my fiance on the back, I could put more gear on there. I could put camping gear on that thing. I could put a tank bag on it. It can, that's it. Yeah, it's got the power. I can lean it. Rocket 3.
So would you then say that the Rocket 3, obviously aside from your M109, which I hope you never sell, by the way, because I'm really happy you didn't sell it at the time when then the Bomber, and you still had it, so that was good. But is it something that you'd say that your dream brand new bike, if you were to ever get another one, is the Rocket 3? Or is there something else there?
I would, I found that I am a muscle bike power cruiser lover. Mm-hmm. I do appreciate smaller bikes like the Scramblers. I appreciate the FZ07s. I actually owned the FZ07 at one point, Yamaha. I love smaller bikes. I love retro bikes. But for what type of riding I do, definitely it will be a power cruiser. I like being able to throw bags on it if I want, throw a windshield on it if I want. I can throw a tank bag on it, strap my gear to the back on a rack. When I get there, I can take it off and I have a stripped down bike just like I normally would. So if I had to put it up there outside of the 109, definitely the Rocket 3. Sweet. I just love that complete package, man. Other than that, it'll probably be a Diablo, X-Diablo S. Mm-hmm. That was the original bike that I wanted outside of the 109. But if I had the money, Rocket 3, 100%.
Sweet. I would love one of them as well, to be fair. So to move off motorcycles for a second, or maybe we won't go on.
And you can supercharge it.
You can supercharge it. It's actually funny. When I was out at the shed earlier, there was the guys who have a shed next to my shed in the place we rent a shed. They had an old Toyota 11, like, you know, Japanese car, and it was a supercharged one. And I love superchargers. I know they're ancient technology at this point, or the original concept was ancient technology, but I love them. They're so cool.
Yeah, man. I didn't get introduced with superchargers on motorcycles, at least to the mainstream, until I started watching like Victory. When they supercharged the Magnum, and then Lloyd's supercharging all the Indians and stuff like that. I mean, he's pushing with his kits, man. He can get over 200 horsepower out of a bagger,
which is
like, that's insane.
It's insane.
But yeah, I just love the fact that you know, I mean, that's enough. The Rocket 3, the M109 is enough power to get me killed, obviously. But it's just like, it's that package just so complete, man. It's just so complete.
Yeah. Would you ever consider trying to do something mental to the M109?
What, like a supercharger?
Mm.
No, I've looked into it. I actually reached out to the guys that build superchargers for the V-Rod and the Rocket 3 over there in the UK. I reached out to them, and they had an old video up of the M109 with a supercharger, but I reached out and they don't make it anymore. So
that's
there are videos out there of like turbos and forced induction stuff for the 109, but it's nothing that you can just buy off the shelf and put on. Yeah. You have to like get it one of one made. So it obviously makes it incredibly expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe something that you're going to eventually do if the channel grows. Yeah.
I would definitely do it. But there's not a lot of, honestly, man, there's not a lot of upgrades for the 109. Like there aren't, I don't think, to my knowledge, there aren't many people, if anybody, really doing cam upgrades or bigger bores on the 109, because honestly, man, it's really a complete engine as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, definitely.
It took Indians up until now to come out with the Power Plus just to even come close to what the 109 can do. And of course, Harley had the V-Rod, the Revolution Max back in the early 2000s. That was
I love the V-Rods.
Like, honestly, 120, that the power that these bikes put out, they're pretty good for the weight.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially when you take into fact the torque curve and the way it puts the power down. Mm-hmm. It does a pretty good job.
And sounds great doing it.
100%.
But to jump off bikes, right? What are your main hobbies outside of bikes, or do you have any major ones? Obviously you like photography, and I really like your style that you're going for at the moment with photography. But is there anything else there?
I am an avid gamer. I am a tech junkie. I also do photography. I like driving my sports car. I have a 2009 Pontiac G8 GXP.
Ooh,
I guess you guys know that as the Holden.
Yeah, we don't have any of those.
Oh, you don't have any of them? Okay.
I wish we did.
So basically, it's based off the Holden Commodore in Australia. Basically, it's a V8 pretty much.
They're awesome.
I like driving my sports car. And I like hanging out with my friends and my family.
Good hobbies.
I'm a normal guy. I like watching movies, Netflix. You know, I'm not like a base jumper or a skydiver or nothing like that. But,
nothing mental, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would do it. I've just never done it.
And then there is something else. Obviously, you've had a fairly eventful motorcycling life so far. Even, you know, to have that type of accident or whatever else is. So, other than wear your gear, would you have any other recommendations for new riders or new YouTubers or new photographers?
I would say, as far as new riders, focus more on the gear versus the bike. You know, a lot of people get new bikes. I see people all the time in my area riding with no gear. And again, I don't fault them for not wearing the gear, but if you're definitely a new rider, definitely get the gear, because you're going to probably go down, even if it's just in your driveway.
Yeah.
Rusty Bagger on Instagram is a very prime example of that. He is a rider coach. He was doing figure 8 donuts in the parking lot of Harley Davidson, practicing his maneuvers. Bike fell over, snapped his foot.
I saw that.
Like, it can happen anywhere. So definitely, and it's simply because, you know, it probably wouldn't have happened if he had on the proper riding shoes, and he stands behind it. He had on like Vans. Yeah,
I think Vans.
Yeah, he had Vans on. So. Yeah, so like it can happen as simple as being in the parking lot. So imagine being out on the highway and stuff happen. So, definitely getting the proper riding gear and definitely not getting more bike than you can handle.
Yes.
I'm not against people getting fast bikes because I had the philosophy that if you can control it, you take the rider course, I say go for it. Especially now with new bikes, you can dial the power back.
Mm-hmm.
So, with I think Ducati with the XD Oval, you could actually reduce the power modes actually reduce the horsepower. Of the bike. But on the Indian, for instance, like the Power Plus, the 120 horsepower or whatever, it doesn't reduce the horsepower, but it reduces the throttle response. So, definitely stuff like that helps. But definitely just overall, just not biting off more than you can chew and focusing on gear. As far as photography and stuff, YouTube, like start with your camera phone. Figure out, try to maximize, like you brought up earlier, trying to maximize the gear that you have. With YouTube, starting a YouTube channel, not being focused on, this person has this thing, they have that thing. I can't do my videos until I have that thing.
Yeah.
And if you go that route, you're never going to start. And if you do start, you're going to be upset because you bought the gear, but you still don't know how to make your stuff look like their stuff.
Yeah. And
you're still going to have the problem versus just starting with what you have and trying to push every ounce of capability out of the gear that you have, and then eventually working up as you get more skills behind your belt and you learn the process. It's a process. You have to fall in love with the process. That's the thing.
Good advice. And something that I'm actually glad you didn't say it yourself, because it's something that I wanted to point out that you do that I need to get way better at, is your scene selection for your photos. Like, they are generally fantastic.
You're talking about like my Instagram?
Yeah. Like where you pick to take a photo is just sets it up.
I've in where I'm at, there's a little bit of city and a lot of country. So basically I had to get creative on where I take my photos, and I actually got the parking deck idea from Chaos Causes. So he takes a lot of shots that involve like straight lines and angular shapes and stuff like that. There's not a lot of curves to his photos. And I've just been experimenting with not only that type of architecture and aesthetic, but also the colors that are associated with it, and also the lighting. Because that parking deck that I got kicked out of, I had certain shots that I planned on taking. I was going to come back at night and do it, but I got kicked out.
I still can't believe they kicked you out. It's just silly.
Yeah, it was a private parking deck. I get the reason why. I guess the liability of it, but the lady was like, "You have to leave now." But she, honestly, off camera, she was really nice.
Okay,
she was really nice about it. We actually talked for like 2 or 3 minutes, and she was like, "Yeah, people will actually get put in jail for trespassing because it's a state parking lot, parking deck." But the thing is, the gate was open. There was no cars there. I was like, okay. And then after I got kicked out, I literally went down the street to another parking deck that was actually, I knew that I could go in and I didn't have any problems. And actually the cops, it was actually a parking deck where the cops, the local police department paid to park there. Cop was sitting there, had no problem with it, even though it was technically a private parking deck. But again, it was open, so he didn't care.
I think it comes down to the application of the rules and when to not apply them.
Absolutely. But now I know, just don't go there.
Yeah, don't go to
I did get some good shots. I got some good shots before I got kicked out, though.
Then we've hit that yet, and so genuine question: would you consider visiting Ireland? Right, because there is a muscle bike here for you. You can borrow my Magna. Come for a spin with me if you want. I have 3 bikes now, so.
I'm going to tell you exactly why I would come to Ireland outside of riding. Dublin, man, Guinness, of course.
Don't go to Dublin. Nah, the rest of the country.
That's where they brew it, man.
Yeah, they do make Guinness in Dublin, and Guinness is delicious. Well worth visiting.
It's my favorite beer, man.
The Guinness storehouse in Dublin is worth a visit as well. And also there's the Jameson distillery. I don't know, do you drink Jameson?
I don't drink Jameson. I won't say I don't drink it, but it's not my. I don't drink it enough to have an opinion on it. I'd say.
Yeah, it's not your drink of choice. But the distillery is not far from here. That's a good tour as well. Okay. And obviously, if you like scenic roads, there's a lot of them near me. So you're more than welcome to borrow a bike if you ever do visit.
Heck yeah, man. Same for you if you ever come to the States.
Yeah,
That's the plan, is to get I want all the bikes. So when I have them sitting in my garage, everybody's like, hey, Brandon, I'll be up in Alabama for a little while or wherever I'll be at the time. But hey, man, I got a bike for you. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And it's funny because have you heard of Twisted Road?
Yes, where you can rent the bikes. Yes.
Yeah. That's something I'd love to get into. It's not really a thing here. They have like Ireland listed on the website, but when you search Ireland, there's no bikes for rent.
Yeah.
But
there are a few in my area. I want to eventually, when I do get the new bike, I want to rent the new bike out and, help compensate for income and stuff like that for the bike. But I would do the 109, but the 109 I got too much stuff I need to do to it to fix it before I would feel comfortable with somebody being on it. Yeah, outside of that, I would 100% rent the 109 out. I mean, it's my baby, but I mean, a lot of times it's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And plus it gives other people the chance to ride it when they're coming town, because we have a lot of monuments and museums and stuff here. So people visiting definitely can say, oh, I can rent a bike for a day and go for a ride. So, and us doing the same thing. Like when I go somewhere else, I can rent a bike while I'm out there. So
that's a huge thing for me, is like the Magna is, it's a super Magna. They were only made for 2 years. That's a rare bike. And it's something I'd love to eventually do, provided something like Twisted Road obviously would cover, because that'd mean the bike's insured and I don't have to worry too much. But that's something that I would love, is to give people the chance to experience a bike like that, because otherwise they might not even see one in the flesh, let alone ride one.
Right.
There's lots of Magnas out there.
Super Magna.
Yeah, it's 87, 88. That's the only years they were.
I didn't even know they even made a Super Magna. I think what brought me onto the Magna was do it with Dan.
Oh yeah, he's the Gen 3. Yeah, he's the one that came after my one.
So I didn't even know there was a Super Magna. So definitely, I would. If I had the chance to ride any bike, I'm gonna ride it. Like I remember a day, our friend Lenore that has the Black Indian Chieftain. She started on a 250 Yamaha Virago, and I remember a day where she was riding her, and she eventually stepped up to a Kawasaki Mean Streak, a 1600.
Yo,
my uncle was on my 109. She was on her Mean Streak, and I was on her 250 Virago, and I just had a blast.
Yeah.
I'm sitting, and the crazy part is you could just ring that thing out, and it's just like there's no consequence.
Oh yeah,
ring it out. So you're going 50, 60 miles an hour. The top side of like 80. I'm just ringing it out, just like fast, man. No, I would ride anything.
And they're so light. Smaller bikes are so light.
Yeah, I would ride anything. I would have a blast on anything 2 wheels.
But yeah, that is the open invitation to visit, and you can borrow a bike. Other than that, unless you have any questions for me, we can start closing it out.
No. You want to talk about we talked about earlier about the Black Lives Matter thing?
Yes, absolutely.
What's the question about that?
So, like obviously, right, and it's even hard for me to kind of put this into words, but as a white Irish person, obviously I haven't been exposed to that, but you see a lot of stuff on the internet, which is, by the way, awful, absolutely awful. Right. But just to I suppose go through what it means to someone who obviously could or has been possibly subjected to prejudice or bias in that manner, because obviously I've and I can hold my hands up, I've never seen it here, and I've never experienced it here. So it's, for me, I obviously want to combat it in some way, but it's how I do it. Obviously one way is to talk about it. So yeah, what?
Well, the thing is the reason why it's gotten so much. Well, I'm not gonna say so much. I'm just surprised, honestly, in the way that the world reacted to it, because when you go back and watch the video of George Floyd, the whole thing that kind of sparked it. A lot of people will say, well, why is it now? But the thing is, it's been happening for so long. And at some point, people just got fed up about it. It's just, and what's crazy to me is how people will actually justify how they will justify someone being treated like that, even when they're completely subdued. They're obviously no threat, and the people that did this still felt the need that this was okay.
Yep.
Even though, he's clearly not doing anything. But the fact that the world has stood behind it and it's just became this world thing is crazy. And I would never thought we'd see that, because I think even back in the civil rights movement of, was it 1965 or 1964 when Martin Luther King actually marched from Selma to Montgomery, which is where I stay. All of the birth of the civil rights movement in the country of the United States in the South for African Americans and anybody of color started here, like literally right down the street. Where all of it happened, man, is crazy. And also with the capital, my area being the capital of the Confederacy, which was the South during the American Civil War when the South fought the North for slavery, I guess, was one of the reasons to keep slavery and the economy intact in the South. All of that was here in this area. And for the movement to go the way that it's gone, you know, after 400 years of slavery and still the oppression that Black people go through and Hispanic people go through, and anybody that's not of Anglo-Saxon descent or white people descent, it's just like they just got tired of it, man. And now that, you know, I guess the way to say it is African Americans can't do it by themselves, right? We can't take down a system of systemic racism if the people that in power aren't on board, or the people that have the voice to help towards it. And that's why it was so important that everybody get on board with it. But as far as like the rioting and the looting, I don't necessarily agree with that. But at the same time, because there are so many different organizations that are taking advantage of it for the wrong reasons. But for people that are upset and that are doing it, I get it. You know, they're just pissed off. But it's a boiling point thing, isn't it? Yeah. It's and that's the thing. It's a boiling point. People are just tired of just being, not necessarily them, but just seeing people just being mistreated, because at some point you become numb to it. Yeah, you know, you're used to it's like it's murder porn, pretty much.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's something that I would actually. That you said it is, you know, people trying to justify it, whatever the man's history, you know, he was, as you said, he was subdued, he was murdered, you know, but as you said as well, it is kind of a build up to something. I can't even remember how long ago I saw it, but it was possibly 2 years ago. And I mean, it's a video that I was generally like, did I just see that? It was a Facebook Live video. There was a normal traffic stop. There was a lady sitting in the passenger seat of the car in America, obviously, and she was filming, and the cop asked the driver of the car, who was a man, black man, obviously, to get his license, and the dude shot him when he reached for his license, like 3-4 times. That was like, there was a kid in the back as well, wasn't there?
Yep,
that was absolutely.
And she handled horrific. That very well, by the way. My God, she handled that well. The fact that she just witnessed her boyfriend just that's going to be in her mind the whole time. But I've felt that I've been discriminated against, or at least profiled before. You know, I've been in a traffic stop where as soon as the cop gets out of the car, he has his hands on his weapon, not necessarily drawn, and telling me to put my hands where I can see him. And I was, you know, why am I being pulled over? He says, well, you fit the description. Somebody just robbed the house. I was like, dude, I just left the pizza parlor. What are you talking about? You know, so it happens. It happens, and it's not necessarily. It doesn't always involve you being pulled over by the police. It could be somebody saying something sideways, like, you know, I don't like this person for this. I don't like Colin Kaepernick because he kneeled during the national anthem during the football games. When you ask why, they say, well, I don't think you should kneel in front of the flag. And I say, okay, why? And then they could really never give you a true reason as to why, other than it talks bad about the flag. But at the same time, when somebody else does something in opposition to, I guess, the national anthem, or at least protesting in a peaceful way, it's okay. But just because you stand behind this flag, or because this black guy is protesting police brutality, it's a problem. Yeah. And the thing is like now they're like, oh, snap, he really he has a point. Why do we get mad at him? And there were so many people, like military servicemen and veterans, that said, hey, I fought for him to be able to do this. Like, why is this a problem? And now we're dealing with, in my area anyway, and I know my ideas are all over the place because I don't really talk about this stuff, but it's like now we're dealing with the Confederate flag and all these monuments being moved of all these people that supported the Confederacy or were leaders of the Confederacy. And people are like, you should leave them up because they're history and they're historic. But at the same time, they're on public property paid with public money. You don't see Hitler in a statue in Germany. Yep. Like, you don't see the Nazi flag or the swastika being flown in Germany.
So it's actually legal there.
Yeah, like you don't see it being flown on government property on a school zone. So why is that acceptable here, or should be? It's not necessarily saying that you're forgetting what happened. Just say, hey, move that to a museum.
Absolutely,
move it to a museum. That's that's the way I look at it. Anyway,
and it's actually a conversation I had, and not to make a parallel, but it's a conversation I had about there was a statue of William Churchill, defaced or whatever in the UK. And I had a very good conversation with someone who was against it yesterday, because I feel also, and this is something that we'll get to in a second, but I feel that the way to educate people is to discuss things. If you get angry and they get angry and everyone's angry, no one learns anything. But I did have a good discussion after he posted something, and my point to him was, look, Winston Churchill might have done some good in World War II and whatever else, but he also did a hell of a lot of bad, including here in Ireland. So I agreed completely what you said there, is put it in a museum, because then not only you can give a full biography, then you can list out what the man did horribly wrong, and should be remembered in a bad light for, but also what he did right, because I don't think anyone is black or white. From a different perspective, I think everyone is grey in that area. No one does only good things and no one does only bad things,
Are there any statues of the Napoleon Bonaparte?
I think so. In France, maybe. I must look that up. I don't know.
Yeah, I was curious. Like, pretty much dictators. It's just like, are there any like statues of dictators in like not necessarily dictatorship countries, or if you're looking like China or North Korea or somewhere like that, But yeah, as far as the whole movement, man, the movement is, you'll have like people, their first opposition is all lives matter. Of course, we know all lives
That's
do
not
matter.
the point, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I have white friends. I have Asian friends. I was going to say Indian friends. No, I have Asian friends. I have Irish friends. I have friends all over the world. I went to school in a very diverse climate where I had friends from Turkey, Algeria, Jordan. Like, of course. But at the end of the day, when it comes to America, it sucks being black sometimes.
Yeah.
On a lot more on average. And at the same time, like I said, it's not necessarily police brutality. It could be me applying for a job. It could be how I'm treated when I walk into a McDonald's.
Yeah.
It could be how I'm treated when I pull up to a gas station. One time I went to a gas station, and this could just been because it's the area, it's just a stereotype. I got accused of stealing at a gas station that I go to like damn near every day. And I was like, I didn't necessarily feel discriminated against, but it's just the stereotypes are there, and they're
absolutely
used. Yeah. And being that the stereotypes are there, the severity of a threat or something happening is astronomically higher. So when you do like Black Lives Matter, it just means that, hey, my life matters, and I want to be treated with some type of damn respect.
Yep.
And at the same time, I have police friends. And a lot of police officers say, hey, that was a bunch of bullshit, pretty much, so. But go ahead.
No, but even like it was a friend of mine explained the difference between, I think he did it on Facebook. He's a very eloquent fella. But, he was saying just to combat the All Lives Matter thing, he was like, yes, of course, no one is saying that all lives don't matter. But at the moment, the focus should be on, Black Lives Matter, because it's, like I said, I've never experienced that because I'm white in Ireland. I'm Irish. You know what I mean? It's easy. I glide through it, and even it's something that that's been pointed out to me before. Is like I said, I'm huge. I'm at 6'7", 270 pounds. Like if I walk down a street at night here, I don't need to worry. Whereas on the consequence, like there's actually a friend of mine said it to me, and I honestly, man, it shook me because I hadn't ever thought of it like that. She said, "Oh, we can walk this way because you're with me tonight," and I was like, "What you mean?" She's like, "Oh, I couldn't walk down this street if I was on my own, just in case." And I was like, "Whoa," So it's very much
it's
that,
the
like
thought,
that.
man. I can't sit and say that I don't have the thought that, like for instance, my area of work, I work in a predominantly white environment. I don't have an issue with that, but I have had some moments where I felt like, okay, was that a what's the word? A subliminal message or how you worded that. You know, I have those moments because I always feel like sometimes there can be a hidden message behind stuff. But, you know, when I'm out at certain events that are predominantly white, I do feel that pressure like, okay, am I being stared at? Do I have to act a certain way or not say something to, you know, not necessarily get police called on me? That's the last thing I'm thinking, but just the idea of just, I don't want to be looked at a certain way. It's just the fact that I want to be able to walk in a room and not feel pressure.
Mm.
That's the thing. I don't want to feel unnecessary pressure.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I love being black, but it's just like sometimes the shit's scary. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
But I do support. Oh, go ahead.
No, continue, please.
No, I was just going to say, I do love that it's finally getting attention. And I feel like, yes, it's centered around African Americans, but that doesn't remove the things that also are going on in the United States, like immigration, where like Latin America is treated awfully when they migrate to America. Like that is awful. And I feel like with Black Lives Matter in the forefront, it's bringing more attention to other stuff, not necessarily black people, but brown people, you know, people that aren't in the majority and how they're being treated. You know, people just want to be treated like a human being, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. And that's something that I think, and by the way, if this portion of the video upsets people, I would advise you go look at why it's upset you, because it shouldn't. And that's, I think that's really, that's what it comes down to, you know. And even here in Ireland, what it has brought attention to is the likes of, I completely agree, immigrants are treated awfully in some places, especially asylum seekers. You know, they live here in direct provision centers and stuff, which is not good. So yeah, I agree. And that the whole thing has drawn attention to I suppose people who aren't treated the same. And that's the point, is everyone should be treated the same, I think.
Yeah. And
thanks for talking to me about that, Jenny, because I know it's difficult to talk about.
Oh yeah. And I'm starting to be more I'm not a really outspoken person, but I'm starting to speak more up about it, because I used to have that fear of, if I say something about this, my audience isn't going to like it. They're going to start unsubscribing. I'm going to get negative feedback. I'm going to be arguing with people over freaking internet. No, I'm not shying away from this kind of stuff anymore, because if you don't, like you said, if you don't talk about it, if you don't have a conversation about it, you don't make that next step towards changing it or figuring out a way to help change it. So yeah, it definitely needs to be talked about. And I appreciate you for bringing it up. No,
absolutely. It's like I said, it's something that I feel I need to talk about more anyway, just in general, because I don't think, again, another one of my friends, I have some very intelligent friends. I'm not one of them, sadly. But you know, he was kind of saying, just because you treat everyone the same, Mike, doesn't mean everyone does. And you know, someone might look at you and say, oh, well, he's not saying anything, so he agrees with me. And then the other side might say, oh, he's not saying anything, so he agrees with me. So unless you call out who you actually agree with, you let everyone assume, and then that doesn't help anyone, really. So, yeah. But no, genuinely, thanks very much for talking to me about that.
Yeah,
I do appreciate
it. Thank you.
Not at all. So back on to more boring, generic matters. Do you have any questions for me before we close out the podcast? Anything at all? I'm an open book. Huh?
What are your plans for your channel going forward? After, I guess, watching people like Chaos Causes and Moto Bob and me, and you say you try to focus on your voiceover work, and now that Chaos Causes says, hey, write your script before you go do your video, what are your plans moving forward?
Good question. So it's a tough one, because my main thing, I absolutely love riding my bike, you know, pure and simple. And my favorite thing to do, one of the first things I did on my channel, and something that I still want to do a lot, is showing people different parts of Ireland, because even people who live in Ireland have not seen these places, you know, more scenic areas. And it's something that, you know, I like to go and just get away from people and be out there. So that's something that I wanted to not only do more of, but definitely improve. So, you know, get B-roll of a nice piece of forestry, get B-roll up at the top of a valley that I've ridden to, but also encapsulate the bike riding there, because I truly feel that traveling by motorcycle is the best way to see Ireland, especially on all our narrow roads. You know, you don't have to worry about your car getting scratched, your rental car. You don't have to worry about the road being too narrow, turning around, parking, etc. I honestly believe seeing the scenic areas in Ireland are best seen on a motorbike because you experience the whole atmosphere as well. So that's one part of it. But also, you know,
all right, let me go price tickets to get to Ireland.
You're more than welcome, man. Honestly, anytime. But you know, other than that, you know, the voiceover work, I want to do more of the voiceovers for, you know, my servicing videos, the likes of the clutch change stuff that I did recently, because that people enjoyed how that was presented, and that was purely based off the back of Chaos Causes' advice. So I know he will probably never see this, and he'll probably never know that he helped me, but he did, and you know that benefited. So I'd like to do the servicing more like the voiceovers, because you can take all your clips of when you're working on the bike, but you can just focus on working on the bike and doing the job right, and then filling it in later. And then, yeah, I suppose just reviews. Love doing the bike reviews and podcasts. I really, really enjoy doing the podcasts. I really enjoy talking to more people. Like, I would not have met you if not for, you know, YouTube and Instagram, and then obviously coming on the podcast. So yeah, my plans, I suppose, are just to do more of what I'm doing, but do it a lot better, if that makes sense.
What is a goal I'd say you'd like to see from your channel? Because I had a one-on-one with Moto Bob, and he said he was looking at my channel to see how I could do things better.
Cool.
And he basically said, and you could reach out to him, he'll probably do the same for you. Like he did an Instagram post, and he's like, hey, I'm helping people under 50,000. Yeah, like he was incredibly helpful. You know, just the fact that he took his time out of his day, his busy, very, very busy day, just to talk to me about it. But he asked me the question, what do I want to see from my like what's the ultimate goal from the channel? And when I told him, I was like, well, I kind of just wanted to fund my hobby, but his viewpoint was like, for him, it's like way up there. And I was like, okay, I really need to change what I'm expecting out of it. So of course that means I had to change my effort and what I put into it. So what is something you like to see from your channel? Whether it be view count, money, subscribers, brand deals, changing somebody's opinion or life about something, or just for the love of the craft. Like what's the thing for you?
Definitely changing people's opinions on riding bikes. Definitely that is a huge thing, because I'm always trying to convince people to ride bikes. So definitely one of the things, and I've mentioned it a few times, is I want to get a 250 and rig it out to be dropped, because then I can let my friends just have a go on it and drop it, or let a subscriber have a go on it and drop it. It doesn't matter, you know, and then maybe they'll say, oh, okay, this is for me, or maybe it isn't for them, which is that, you know, that's going to happen. But long term, and it's something that only recently I kind of started thinking about, thanks to Hatter. So Hatter, if you're watching this is mainly thanks to you. I mean, I'd love to do this, if not full time, part of the time. You know, whether it be do bike stuff as a job and the channel in the background, or you know, design parts for bikes or custom fab parts for bikes. I want to work in bikes, because at the moment I work in 3D printing for you know, fixing people, so knees, hips, and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
It's cool, but. And don't get me wrong, it is very cool, and it's nice to know that you're putting stuff out there that do fix people. But at the same time, I work for a massive corporation that is it's all about money, you know, which it's not what I'm about really. So yeah, definitely, I suppose a medium term goal is to make money off the channel in order to reinvest in the channel and create cooler content. You know, I think that's kind of across the board. But yeah, longer term, I don't know, make the jump into motorcycles as a job somehow, whether it be through the channel or some other way.
Right. See, eventually compounding on that is something where I agree. Like the line of work that I do with I'm a system administrator. I don't get the satisfaction of what I do. I don't see exactly what my work does to the people that we're servicing. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no. 100%.
But when I put a video out there and people say, oh, you helped me decide on getting this, or hey, you gave me another perspective on Harley Davidson, or hey, you gave me a perspective. I never thought about this, or this is cool. I'm going to go take this road. Oh, that restaurant is cool. I'm going to go eat there.
Yeah.
That's or it's for you showing Ireland, like that's to me, you get immediate satisfaction on whether or not you help somebody from things like YouTube or Instagram. So 100%.
Job satisfaction, man. Job satisfaction. I say it every time.
But as far as, go ahead.
No, it's I was just going to repeat myself.
I was just going to say, like, for me, and I didn't mention this earlier, is that I want to perfect my craft to the point where I can make a short film with motorcycles.
Very cool.
So I definitely want to make a short film. So if I had to do it in Ireland, I want to make one in Ireland if I can. Like, that's where we're going.
Man, we'll do that. Definitely.
Yeah.
So is there anyone other than Bearded Bobber and Bombshell? I did say it out. Yeah, I was right. Bombshell Biker. Yeah. Sorry, Bombshell Biker. Other than shouting out the two of them, is there anyone else you'd like to shout out before we close off?
I'd shout out JFaz, Meatball Rebel, you, GorillaBiker, for bringing me on this podcast, Bearded Bobber, Bombshell, Mr. 20 West, let's see, Moto Bob, because he's awesome. Let's see, me, my mom, my family, everybody, my 109, my barber, I miss you. No, seriously though. My fiance laughed. No, just everybody that's been supporting the movement, man. It's just a lot of people that are in our space that I can't obviously name everybody, but I could go all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's I don't know how many people I subscribe to. I could shout them all out, but that'd take too long.
Everywhere. Yeah, there's a lot of people. But go ahead.
No, honestly, keep going.
I was about to ramble.
Continue. This is what podcast.
No, I was going to say, probably, and also the people that that allow me to use their music to give you guys the dope videos that I created. Because I actually,
how do you get your music?
I actually buy every single song that I use.
Oh.
So that's my way of supporting the artist. So what I'll do, and of course I still want to make money from the video, so I'll actually reach out to them and say, hey, if I buy your music and I promote it, can I use it royalty free? And this is me individually reaching out to each artist. But luckily, a lot of my music comes from a record label. I basically reached out to the label and I'm signed up on their like system. And whenever I use their music, it automatically puts it so it doesn't flag it.
Okay.
That's copyright. But sometimes, I still have to, if there's an artist that I really want to work with, I'll just email them directly or DM like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Can I use your music? And in the latest video you'll see today or whenever you watch it, I reached out to this guy a couple of days ago because he has music under this label. But just because he has music under that label, his individual albums can still get flagged outside of that system. So I reached out to him and he was like, oh, yeah, man, it's cool to use it and everything. So bought all his music and I started using it. So it's a laborious process, but it gives light to artists that I support, and also it adds an individual flavor because not everybody's going to reach out to these artists and use their music.
It's something I meant to write down and ask you, but it didn't. Is where you get your music, because it's fantastic. So maybe that's something I'm going to steal from you as an idea.
Oh yeah, hey man, if you got any questions, man, I'm an open book to because I remember I'm still learning too. I don't have this all figured out.
Yeah, I don't think anyone.
I'm still learning. I'm always open to exchange ideas and just talk about anything from camera work to bikes or anything, But it's laborious to reach out to them individually, and sometimes they'll say, "Oh yeah, you can use it, but you have to pay a royalty fee and all that kind of stuff," which is fine. But at the same time, I still want to make money off my videos.
Of course, yeah.
So I might still stream them on Spotify so they can get streams, but it may just not be I won't use it in the video.
Yeah, fair.
So that's definitely a big part of it. But I get all my music from Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, okay. I must try them. But I will say, look, I really appreciate you coming on. Like I say every time, I know there's a lot of time to give up. And obviously you don't know what you're walking into when you come onto these, but
right.
Thanks very much. I really, really appreciate it. It's been very interesting.
Thank you, man.
I hope you enjoyed it. No, not at all. Anytime. And if you ever want to come on again, just let me know if you have anything in particular to talk about. Yeah, it's because these are things. The podcasts are something that honestly I just started doing as a kind of a, hey, we're locked down and it's bad weather, so let's do some podcasts. But it's now something that, you know, even that they do pretty well. And I really enjoy doing them. So, you know, they'll always have a place on the channel, even if it's you know, an extra video a week or something else.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, look, thank you very much for coming on again. Everyone, make sure, please, that you go check out Brandon's channel. If you have not already checked it out, there will be a link in the description. All the usual stuff. But, you know, if my recommendation means anything, I really, really enjoy his videos and have for a long time. So go check him out.
Sweet.
Yeah, so would you have anything? I have an outro crew. They're honestly amazing people who watch all of the way to the end of every video. So do you have anything you'd like to say to them?
No, other than to keep supporting GorillaBiker for doing these amazing podcasts, and definitely follow him because obviously he is into the craft. He wants to make better content for you guys. So definitely don't give up on watching his videos. Keep being the outro crew that you are and keep supporting him. Straight up, keep supporting him, man. We need support from people like you guys. Again, we'd rather have 10,000 loyal than 100,000 that aren't loyal.
Absolutely.
Subscribers.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Keep supporting us.
And then the last thing, before I say goodbye, is everyone keeps asking me what my mic is propped on. It's not impressive. So this is my poverty spec microphone prop.
Oh, I feel that, man. Whatever works.
Hey, it works. It keeps it a good height. This
is all one unit. This is all one unit. It's the
it's
Rode.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's all one unit. And this is a $10 pop filter. Keeps me from pop. Yeah. It helps the pop.
I must get one of them.
Yeah, YouTube money, man. Making those review videos,
Absolutely.
opinion videos. You know, I didn't start off with any of this. You saw my older videos.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't start off with the nice equipment. It doesn't start with that. Over time, you know, putting stuff on credit, it all comes to fruition over time. Yeah. It's work. Support him.
It is. Yeah. I enjoy doing it anyway, so I'll stay doing it even if it's with the same equipment.
But that's what I look at it too.
Yeah, 100%. But thank you very much for listening and watching. If you have until now, and until next time, adios.